यमुनातिरवनचारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिभरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुना तीरवनचारी यमुना तीरवनचारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajakacarya Ashtottara Shatashrimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajakacarya Ashtottara Shatashrimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 6, text number 37. Sutta Uvacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantrya Veenam Ranyam Ranayan Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sutta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantrya Amantra Vinam Ranayan Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sutta Uvacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vinam Ranayam Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi Sutta Uvacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantrya Vinam Ranayam Yayo Yadrichiko Munihi. Please repeat. Sutta Vacha Ranayan Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vinam Ranayam Sutta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vinam Ranayam Sutta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vinam Ranayam Yayo Yadrichiko Muni. Mataji. Sutta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vinam Ranayam Yayo Yadrichiko Muni. Anyone else? Sutta Vacha Evam Sambhasya Bhagavan Narado Vasavi Sutam Amantra Vinam Ranayam Yayo Yadrichiko Muni. All right. So, Sutta Goswami Vacha said, Evam, thus Sambhashya, addressing Bhagavan, transcendentally powerful, Narada Muni, Vasavi, named Vasavi, Satyavati, Sutam, son, Amantrya, inviting, Vinam, instrument, Ranayam, vibrating, Yayo, went, Yadrichikaha, wherever willing, Munihi, the sage. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sutta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Srila Narada Muni took leave of him and vibrating on his veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. Purport. Every living being is anxious for full freedom because that is the transcendental nature. And this freedom is obtained only through the transcendental service of the Lord. Illusioned by the external energy, everyone thinks that he is free, but actually he is bound up by the laws of nature. A conditioned soul cannot freely move from one place to another, even on this earth, and what to speak of one planet to another. But a full-fledged soul like Narada, always engaged in chanting the laws of glory, is free to move, not only on earth, but also in any part of the universe, as well as in any part of the spiritual sky. We can just imagine the extent and unlimitedness of his freedom, which is as good as that of the Spirit of the Supreme Lord. There is no reason or obligation for his traveling, and no one can stop him from his free movement. Similarly, the transcendental system of devotional service is also free. It may or may not develop in a particular person even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas. Similarly, the association of devotees is also free. One may be fortunate to have it, or one may not have it even after thousands of endeavors. Therefore, in all spheres of devotional service, freedom is the main pivot. Without freedom, there is no execution of devotional service. The freedom surrendered to the Lord does not mean that the devotee becomes dependent in every respect. To surrender unto the Lord through the transparent medium of the spiritual master is to attain complete freedom of life. Om Jnanati Marindasya Ginanjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ulimitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yatapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadvitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Shahe Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavanda Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchina Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpataruvesha Kripa Sindhubhya Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namane Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're speaking on the topic of freedom here, specifically describing Narada Muni, a great devotee of the Lord. Everybody knows Narada Muni. Anyone in India, from India and Nepal and these parts of the world where Vedic culture is still somewhat present, from a young age, we understood who Narada Muni was this transcendental spaceman who's free to travel wherever he likes, chanting the glories of Narayana. And so here it is addressing the free will of a devotee, the freedom that a devotee actually has, and what that means. Because there is a lot of ideas of freedom in this world. There's a lot of, especially in the modern age, everything is about freedom. Freedom of rights, freedom of speech, freedom of action, freedom to think how you want to think, freedom to be who you want to be, freedom to believe what you want to believe. So there is so much talk about freedom. Everything is, okay, I want to be free. As Prabhupada says, Prabhupada begins that purport by saying everybody is anxious to become free. Everybody is very anxious to have freedom in their life. And what is the standard of freedom in the modern society? What is the standard of freedom? Financial freedom. Okay, financial freedom is one sort. But what is that? What does that lead to? What does that look like? What does financial freedom look like? Unlimited sense enjoyment. What does that look like? Huh? Yeah. But so you can sleep in, you can watch Netflix, and you can eat pizza all day. Right? That is freedom, right? You get to, on a Saturday morning after going to work all week, you get to sleep in on a Saturday. I'm not going to get up today. I'm going to do whatever I like today. I'm just going to sleep in and I'm going to watch movies and I'm going to eat pizza, and then maybe I'll get up at like 4 o'clock and take a shower. Right? This is freedom. Right? This is freedom. I can do whatever I like. I can sleep in today. So this is some idea of freedom is there, that I'm working so hard all week and on the weekend I'm completely free. Now I can enjoy, right? Now I can enjoy to the fullest now that I am free. But actually, if we actually analyze the situation, the person who thinks they're free is actually bound up in so many ways. You can be free for that Saturday until you have to go back to work on Monday. Then you're not free anymore, right? Your freedom of thought stops there, right? You can't say, okay, today I feel like I'm free to go into work whatever time I want to go in. Can you do that? Today, you're free. You are free, so you can go into work whenever you like. At work, if you feel like, I don't want to work anymore, I'm free to just stop working. Boss, I don't want to work anymore. I'm free to do what I like. And I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to go take my lunch whenever I want to. Right? Yes? Can you do that? Well, apart from Charandeep. Because he's a devotee. He's like Narada. He can do whatever he wants. But can you do that? Are you free to act? No. What happens if you act freely? Huh? You get fired, right? Then you can't sleep in on a Saturday anymore and watch Netflix and eat your pizza. So freedom to think, freedom to act, freedom to believe. How much freedom is actually there? How much freedom do you actually have? When you went to school, did you get to choose what school you went to? No. And then when you went into school, did you get to freely think? Well, when you go into your test and you go into your exam, and they're asking you questions, can you think freely? You guys both studied at university, right? You're at Georgia State and you went to Louisiana. Were you allowed to think freely? Right? But the idea is, why are you going to university then? Why do you go to university? Everybody wants to be a free thinker. Everybody wants to be a very intellectual. I want to be free. Yes, we are free, but then you go to a university and learn from a bunch of professors, and you're forced to write in your paper exactly what they told you. If you write anything different, what happens? You fail. So freedom. Where is the freedom though? You've been taught how to think, you've been taught how to act, you've been completely more or less forced to think. In university school, this is what this is. This is forceful thinking that, oh yes, Darwin's theory is right. Yes, exactly. What are the psychology we taught you in your classes, or the maths we taught you in your classes? You better learn that. You don't have a choice. But why do you do it? Why do you do it? Why do you go to university then if you're pushed? If you're already pushed in a one way of thinking, right? Why? For a better future. Why? Because you see some benefit in it. You see a benefit in going and learning in a particular way of thinking. And you don't go, just like you want to approach mathematics, you don't go to the School of Arts. Or you're approaching mathematics, you don't go to School of Arts and say, you know what, I like this part about the School of Arts, so I want to put it into my mathematics. You can start drawing in your mathematics class. You don't have that freedom. So the living entity is bound up in so many ways. This is external, in the situation of this world. But everybody wants to have freedom. We want to have free thinkers. But even as our Guru Maharaj makes many times in his lectures, the point that even the idea of think freely is not free thinking. It's not free thinking, because somebody told you to think freely. But then what are you going to think about? What new thing are you going to think about? Think freely, but actually we'll tell you what to think about. Just like that, people say, well, you shouldn't listen to any guru. So then why should I listen to you? It's the same idea. Think freely, okay, but you're telling me to do that. It's a fallacy. So you understand to some extent that even though when you go to university and study and do all these things, there's a level of control. We want freedom, but a level of control is required. Because from that level of control, we see that we'll benefit from that. It will lead to something. That I'm going to control my mind and I'm going to control my senses and I'm going to study through this thing. Even although all the ideas that they may present, you don't probably completely agree with in university, or make sense. It doesn't make half of it didn't make sense to me in university. You just write it down and you better just answer the questions so you don't lose your $20,000 a year that you're paying at university. You better answer those questions exactly as they tell you. So this freedom, this idea of freedom is nice, you could say. Oh yeah, we can all be free, we can all be happy, we can all do what we like. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Where do you see that? Nowhere. There is control in every society. And so, just like, freedom is to be, this freedom that is presented in society, or freedom should only be given to those who are capable of having it. So, not everybody is allowed to have freedom, at least within Vedic society. Because they misuse it, just like you don't give a child a gun. The child has no knowledge, he has no proper knowledge. So you could say, well, let the child be free, let the child pick what they wants to pick. He's free to act as he likes, just like now they make the point, right? Let the child pick what sex they want to be at the age of 3, 4 years old. Crazy people. Let them be free, let them give them anything. Give them fire to play with. Give them whatever, let them be free, and they should be free, everyone should be free. But no, you don't give children freedom. Why? Because they're going to completely misuse it, they're going to harm themselves. Or mental people. Mental people, you don't give them freedom. You don't give people who are killers, who are murderers, freedom. They're put into jail. Why? Because they will cause huge amounts of havoc in society, although they want freedom, right? Nobody wants to live in jail forever. Nobody wants to be imprisoned forever. But they have to be there. Why? Because if they were given that freedom, then they would misuse it. They would harm the society at large. So just like we're describing here with the children, that they're not particularly given freedom because you can see children generally are selfish by nature and they don't consider their consequences very, very wisely. They just do it out of instinct. They just do it out of, this is going to feel good. Just like a child, I'm sure everybody's touched something hot here when they were a kid, right? Anybody? You guys, maybe some of you forgot. But it's like there's a fire, you go and touch it, or there's this, your mom is cooking on this pot and you go and try to grab it and burn your hand completely. The child does not know what is good and what is bad. So freedom, there's a cost to it if one is not careful, if one does not have a proper understanding of what is freedom. So you cannot just give freedom to anyone. You cannot just, you can say, today I'm free to drive as I like. I'll drive on what side I choose. Today you can get on the road, and I'm from Australia, so Australia we drive on the, on the left side of the road. So today I'm going to walk out the street because I'm a free thinker and I want to be free. I'll act how I like. I'll drive on the left side of the road. I'll completely, it'll cause so much havoc to so many others, including myself. So this freedom of thought requires direction. It requires a level of protection, just like a parent. The parent controls the child. The parent gives the child, it practically, the child lives with the parent, is not allowed to go out of the house by itself. It's practically imprisoned, you could say almost. But the parent does not do it so that, yes, I can eventually exploit this child. That's not the purpose of the parent constricting the child. The child ultimately wants to give the parent ultimately wants to give the child its ultimate benefit. So in this conception of freedom, there is always some level of control, that there should be guidance that is there. That's why in the end of this purport, Prabhupada mentions that spiritual master is required. So this guidance is required. If one wants real freedom, this guidance is required. And so the first step to understanding what is freedom, real freedom, is one has to understand oneself. Everybody wants to think freely. But one doesn't even know who one is, then what is the use of that thinking? If one has not even figured out who one is. We're identifying as a black, as a white, as an Indian, as an American, as an Australian. On that platform, there's so much constraint, there's so much actually conditioning that we've put into ourselves that just the basis of beginning the idea of freedom is completely wrong. So just like in university, just like as children, we accept some level of restrictions in our lives for the benefit of others and for the benefit of ourselves. Similarly, in spiritual life, there's restrictions. There's this idea that I can be free in my spiritual. I can think I can just believe whatever I want to believe in spiritual life. This is nonsense. This is nonsense philosophy. You cannot just believe what you want to believe. There is laws at hand. There's consequences to what you believe. Just like Hitler believed that all the Jews should die. There's consequences to that belief on the material platform, but there's also consequences to these beliefs on the spiritual platform. What is that consequence is one often becomes more lost than where he began. Because there is no idea of a level of control or authority. You go to university because you don't know and you're willing to learn. Similarly, in spiritual life, we come to a spiritual master or to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness because we do not know. But we are not foolish as the university students, although we were university students at one point, that we just accept blindly. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness pushes us to question the goal of life, the understanding of life, how everything is going on. So Krishna consciousness ultimately is bringing us to a level of freedom, but yes, there's so many restrictions required, just like you had to go through so many restrictions in your own university and as a child, and even as an adult now. You can't do so many things. You can't just go wherever you want to, whenever you want to, do whatever you want to. So, on the material platform, we are more or less forced to accept by the laws of nature. We're forced. We're not free to act. We think we are free. We are controlled by our senses. We are controlled by our minds. It's an exploitative society. You're trained to be a part of the society. You're trained to be a consumer. You're free to think. Therefore, now, let us tell you what you should freely have. Here's some Coca-Cola. Here's the iPhone. Here's pizza. Here's the movies. Here's Netflix. Yes, you can freely choose whatever you want to do. But what does it do? It simply binds us into this material world more and more. And the more one tries to get that feeling of freedom, the more one becomes bound up. Just like this, you're saying financial freedom. In order to try to get financial freedom, how hard do you have to work? How hard do you have to work? Well, maybe not Charandeep, right? So, Charandeep, he makes bank, working a couple of hours a day for Microsoft. And then he gives it all to Krishna, so it's amazing. So, it's an exploitative society. They give you an idea of freedom. Why? To exploit you. A parent gives the child control and proper knowledge in order to give them a better life, some benefit. But the society, the material society specifically gives us these things in order to control us. Just like everybody's controlled by sex. You see all those young men of this society, they're all controlled by porn. It's very rare to find someone who's not addicted to that nowadays. You're controlled by movies. You're controlled by, this alcohol, intoxication. You can't go without it. You think that is freedom? Oh yes, I am free to act, but I need this, I need to smoke this today in order to feel free. You're controlled. You're completely controlled. You're controlled in every aspect of your life. You're controlled by your job, you're controlled by your senses, your mind, your university. What freedom do you have? And then people see devotees or those who are involved into the Krishna conscious movement and say, oh, you guys are very controlled. Really? Oh, really? We don't have to get up in the morning and go to a job. We're not forced to you have to. No, we choose to do it. We choose that life. We chose to leave the material world. We chose to wake up in the morning. We chose to chant our 60 round. We chose to not engage in the four principles, how do I say this? Four regulative principles. We chose not to break the four regulative principles. That was a choice. We're not forced to do it. That is called independence. That is called freedom. So Krishna consciousness, it gives us the process by which to attain freedom, not blindly, not dogmatically, but with intelligence, inquiry, by proper understanding. So it trains us. It trains us how to control our mind and senses, to become free from birth and death. That is the ultimate freedom. But people don't like to hear this. People don't like to hear that you should control your senses, you should control your mind, you should not engage in illicit sex activity, you should not smoke, you should not, get high, you should not do all these things. They do not like to hear it. Just like children, you don't you don't do this, then they'll cry. Because they have no knowledge of what to do and what not to do. They want to be free. But we should understand and come to an understanding of what is real and what is illusion. That is where it begins. That is where real freedom begins. Just like a prisoner in a prison, he may think that I am free in his mind, but it's illusion. We can see the mass society, we're actually able to move around and such. But the prisoner in his prison thinks, oh, well, at least, in today I can choose out of the three things that are there, I can choose what I want to eat and what I don't want to eat. I can choose what part of the floor in my cell I want to sleep in. So the prisoner, not understanding that there is actually real freedom beyond that confinement cell or that jail, he tries to become comfortable. And if he's told, well, if you behave properly, if you show proper behavior, then you'll actually be let out of this prison. But he doesn't want to act, no, let me act however I like. Let me do whatever I like. But Krishna consciousness brings us out of that. It takes us away from being slaves of our material desires. It teaches us to become free from them, to not become influenced by them. Real freedom is to be able to say, no, I do not want to do this. So one has to come to this platform of Krishna consciousness. And so people ask, so why should I just accept this? Why should I just accept this philosophy? Well, we can answer all the questions that you have. Why should I submit to this particular philosophy? Why should I submit to this particular spiritual master? Well, it's a better way of life, first of all. But it is a position by which we can start to escape the trappings of this world, which we can start to come to a platform of understanding who we actually are. So some people say, well, I want to just, you have Krishna consciousness, but there's so many paths, and I can, I'll take a little bit out of here, and I'll take a little bit out of there. All paths lead to the same goal, all this nonsense. Picking and choosing. The picking and choosing is going on the platform of what is enjoyable to me and what is not enjoyable to me. Oh, I don't like this aspect of our Krishna consciousness, so I'll take something else. I'll just make up something here, make up something there. No, the process is just like when you go to university, you accept the teacher's knowledge. Similarly, Krishna consciousness presents us a complete knowledge of self-realization. picking and choosing of what I like and what I do not like. This is simply on the platform of the mind. It does not lead to the goal, proper goal, but it leads us back into our situation of being trapped in this material world. So we want to be free. We want to be free thinkers. But it requires proper knowledge. Those who are qualified are allowed to have that freedom, like I was saying before. Those who have gone through the process of getting a license for a vehicle, gone through the process of understanding what it requires to have that license and how to act properly on the road, they're allowed to, okay, now you can travel, go here and go there and whatever. So similarly, when one has to study properly under a proper authority, a proper spiritual master, the goal of life, a complete understanding of spiritual life, it cannot be flawed. Therefore, inquiry is there within spiritual life. Therefore, ask so many questions. Ask a million questions. And if those questions are satisfied, what is the need for anything else? Just like Prabhupada says, Bhagavad Gita includes everything that others have in their religion and more. In the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. So if you can find everything that you need in one place, what is the use of going so many other places? If you're able to access the source of everything, if you're able to access the source of our knowledge, the source of our happiness, then what is the use of trying to go here and there, here and there, here and there? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, such intelligence, which is many-branched, there's no determination. There's this and that which it's just like the horses. They run. There's 5 horses representing the 5 senses. They all run in opposite directions. So a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. The chariot breaks apart. It does not lead to anywhere. And then within that, whatever, I'll take a little bit here, a little bit there. There's so many flaws within that. So Krishna consciousness presents the living entity, the person, with a complete understanding of who he is, who God is, and how to achieve that love for God. How to become free from our trappings of this body, of this world, of material nature, and become free. Become free back to our natural constitutional position as servants. Yes, as servants. It's another big thing. People don't like to be servants. As servants of God. People don't want to, no, I want to be the master. No, I cannot be submissive. How can that be? I want to be the master. Again, same thing. Same idea as freedom. Where are you the master in this world? You're controlled by your boss. You're controlled by your university. You're controlled by everything around you. You're controlled by the government. You don't want to be submissive, but every stage of your life you're submissive. But here in the Krishna conscious movement, there in the material world, we're forced to be submissive, but in Krishna consciousness, we're choosing to be submissive. And in the material world, the system exploits us, where the Krishna consciousness gives us the highest bliss of life. People have contradictory philosophies. It's nonsense. I want to be free, but everything that you do in your life is the complete opposite of freedom. You don't want to be under authority, but everything you do is under authority in your life, and you're forced. Even though, so that is illusion. You think you're free, but if you now analyze it at every stage, you're completely forced to act. But in Krishna consciousness, we're choosing. We're choosing to act like this. So over here it's mentioned, Narada Muni could travel wherever he wanted. He could choose. So Krishna consciousness brings us to this level of point where we're able to say no to this material world. No more of this sense gratification. No more of this following the blind leaders of society. Let me take the Krishna consciousness seriously, because by this process of restraint, to some extent, by the process of submitting oneself to the Supreme Personality of Godhead under proper guidance, with proper knowledge, not with blind knowledge, not with blind intelligence, not with blind faith, with proper understanding, then one can start to approach this realm of freedom. This control. Control is required in every society. In every moment of our life, there's control. Control is required. So one has to be intelligent. One cannot be stupid in this regard. One cannot be stupid in spiritual life. One cannot be just, mental in his spiritual life. He has to inquire intellectually and examine the philosophy and the practice of Krishna consciousness very deeply. Why? Because if you do so, you will find a great deal of wealth within it. Why are we pushing people to ask questions? It's not like you go to a church like this was, and you just sit there and you just listen and then you go home and that's it for your day. No. Contemplate upon these subject matters of Krishna consciousness. Because it is serious, it is reality. It is not this is not trying to cheat us. Cheat us from what? From the exploitations of this material world. Yeah, what are we gonna do to people? We're gonna take all the money and make them surrender to Krishna? Yes, that is true. But just like I was explaining, just like a parent does the same thing to his child, but the child becomes happy. Similarly, we've taken that leap to be under the authority of our spiritual master, be surrendered unto as Prabhupada says here, to surrender unto the Lord through the transparent medium of the spiritual master is to attain complete freedom of life. We've attained freedom. We can say that confidently. That we're on the path of freedom. People are so controlled in this world, but Krishna consciousness is giving us that. Srila Prabhupada is presenting that. So we have our doubts. Yes, doubts are good. Doubts are not bad. Doubts are required. Yes, because it's not, even when I first read Krishna, what I opened up to is like Krishna says, whatever you do, austerities you perform, whatever you do in your life, you offer it to me, you dedicate it to me. I was like, this guy is selfish as heck. This person wants everything from me. I was like, no, this sounds wrong. Doesn't sound right. Why? Because everything is for me, right? Everything should be for me to enjoy. But that is the wrong mentality. That is the reason we're in this material world. That is our conditioned nature. So due to illusion, we're thinking we're free already and that Krishna consciousness may bring us down and may constrain us. But actually, that little bit of constraint that's there, a little bit of austerity that's there, leads to a great level of happiness, great level of freedom. So we can just imagine the extent and unlimited of his freedom, which is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. There is no reason or obligation for his traveling. No one can stop him from his free movement. Similarly, the transcendental system of devotional service is also free. It may or may not develop in a particular person even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas. Similarly, the association of devotees is also free. One may be fortunate to have it, or one may not have it, even after thousands of endeavors. So we have that ability now that this association is free. It's not that you come here every day and it's like, okay, now give us $100 for our 2 hours of session, right? If you go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, how much is it per session? Does anybody know? It's a lot. Anybody know how much? Hundreds of dollars. But Krishna consciousness, and anyways, they just give you some pills and some, petty advice that doesn't help anyone. But Krishna consciousness is presenting us a complete philosophy without any charge. Without any charge. The association of devotees is completely free. The devotional service is completely free. It is natural to the living entity. So we should take it seriously. We should really take it seriously. We should really endeavor to study and ask the deep questions and become convinced in this practice of our spiritual life, in the practice of Krishna consciousness. You will become happy. You will become very happy. This is a guarantee. Why? Because it's the nature of the soul. And Krishna consciousness is natural to the soul. So we'll become free by taking upon the practices of Krishna consciousness, by taking upon proper knowledge, proper spiritual master. So I wanted to speak on some of those points. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, you have a question? Yeah.
Why is it when Thank you for the class. Very
Yes.
good. With the idea of freedom and, through the Krishna conscious movement, a lot of it is just the reading first. You got to read to kind of see through the fog of the material. But a lot of times, two people will read the same text. Maybe they read all the cantos, but they'll have two different philosophies, and maybe they both become guru maharas, and they have two lines of practices, and maybe some contradict. How does someone like me, who's trying to navigate that and find a spiritual master, know what's good, and then also not draw the line of, hey, this serves me, because my first bias is this spiritual master speaks to me, but how do I know that's not on a material level, more a spiritual level?
Intelligence is required, right? It's not, you have to use your God-given intelligence to see. You have to, everything is first comes the philosophy, then the guru. You see, you have to, Shastra is there in the center. So you have to see what the statements of the Shastra is saying. And if you are intelligent, intelligence means you do not just take things, okay, this is for me, this is not for me, not picking and choosing, but you take the standard of Shastra, say, okay, this is what scripture is saying, but the spiritual master is speaking differently. And then one has the association of devotees, so that one has to use his intelligence. One has to see that everything is proper. Everything is not, there is no faults within the philosophy. So one has to ask proper questions. One has to inquire. One has to practice. So that's the difficulty within devotional service when you try to practice alone, is often it's mixed with our own material desires. You see, like, we try to look for places where we can insert our material desires. It's like, oh, it says like this, here's a loophole where I can be like, oh, therefore, I can do what I like here. Right? Like, it's very common. Therefore, we require serious guidance from serious practitioners, those who have actually given their lives to Krishna, and you can see it. You can see that they're following the principles, they live by what they preach, right? So we follow them. We don't follow people who say one thing, but then the rest of their day or the rest of their life, they do something completely contradictory to what they just spoke. So you have to take guidance from those who are understanding the philosophy and also practicing the philosophy. So that is very important. And when you read, you also read under the guidance of devotees. And so you have to ask questions. Actually, questions, and that's where it all begins, by asking questions. Because you can read it and then try to make your own interpretation out of it. But if we have association of those devotees who are pure at heart or pure intentions, then they can help us understand a proper perspective and give us the proper understanding. That's Prabhupada was saying here, that one may be lucky to get that association, or may try to seek it out and never get it. So one has to be in good association for that. Yeah, yes.
Well, also from a personal perspective, you have to see, by following the instructions of a particular devotee, one gains enthusiasm to practice Krishna consciousness. One's material desires are reducing. One's desire to perform devotional service, to be enthusiastic, is increasing. Steadiness, there is increase in steadiness. So these are things that nobody really needs to give material desires others can see, but how, whether one is making advancement or not, one can judge for oneself. It's very. So in that sense, Krishna consciousness is a very personal thing for each and every devotee, and the spiritual master, through his instructions, brings about that personal experience for that devotee, and doubts are cleared. So that's how
The
one knows.
mic is in the wrong place.
This is apart from checking whether the spiritual master is following the previous acharyas and all that. But then there's the personal part to it
It's
also.
like, it's pointing the wrong way.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Okay, you can go ahead. Most people.
Hare Krishna, Chandan, Jai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu, one point also is that, definitely blind faith is not encouraged in Krishna consciousness. And by one point that's often missed is blind doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't want to believe for the sake of not believing, for the sake of not believing. What did he say?
Oh, you go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna?
It's okay. It's okay.
Or do I have to repeat it again?
Yeah,
No.
repeat it again, just
Well,
so it's clear.
So this whole thing of blind doubt, must be, that's there more than blind faith, if you see. And in the way people actually work and people function, that people take more shelter of, they don't want to just for no reason, for no rhyme and reason. Like you see sometimes, you're going on books and you just say hi, and someone just tells you, I don't want it. And I asked him, firstly, I wasn't offering anything to you. And firstly, what do you know? I told him, do you know what I'm giving you? No, but I don't want it. Why do you not want it? For what reason? What if I told you I'm giving you $1 billion? Would you still say I don't want it? What if I told you that what I'm going to give you is going to much better than $1 billion? Would you still not want it? But it's actually most of the people in this world are actually blinded by blind doubt. More than blind faith. And we also see this point of this all paths lead to the same goal is so focused that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You see this, that all paths want to lead to the same goal, and if you're on the 10th floor of a building and you wanted to go to the top floor of the building, will you take the stairs or will you walk out of your window? What's going on? Will all paths lead to the same goal at that point? No. So when one person proposes a philosophy, it should at least make logical sense first.
Mm-hmm.
This whole aspect of picking and choosing is another bogus thing. Because, anything that you actually need, if you want to get results from something, you need to be committed. If you're not committed, you will not get the results. People don't commit and they try some half-baked process and they say the process doesn't work. But this whole, and it all boils down to having a big fat ego. Of thinking we're smashed down by material energy. Like you were making the point so well in class, where is the question of freedom? There is no question of freedom, Then one person may say, hey, you may have to listen to your boss. I don't have to listen to my boss because I'm the boss myself. Oh wow, so nice, you're the boss yourself. That's very good. But then, what if your supply chain is cut as to how you're selling stuff? You're dependent upon that. You're dependent upon so many things to run your own business.
Customer, you're a slave to the customer at that point.
What are you saying? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
If you own your own business, you're a slave to the customer because you have to provide what they want.
Yeah, you're a slave to the, like in business, exactly. In business, there's a saying that the customer's always right.
Yeah.
So you're a slave to the customer's demands. You're a slave to making sure that they don't leave a bad Google review for you. So it's all bogus. It's the whole conception. But if the ego is so fat, and that there's no sign of having any actual intelligence, then people won't accept it.
Yeah. That's
Otherwise, after a simple thing like this, any intelligent person will actually accept it. But whether people accept it or not depends upon how intelligent they actually are.
That's why we often tell them, it's like, yeah, let's sit down and let's have a conversation. You present all the. Oh, you wanna? Hey Ty, you can take it away. Yeah. Okay, so we can present all out. You can ask us as many questions as you like. You can ask us all the most philosophical questions, all the questions you have, but then we'll do the same to you about your life. Let's see how well that goes. We'll answer all your questions, but you answer all my questions about your life. How much does your philosophy make sense? Let's break that down. You don't want to do that, right? Nobody wants to do that. At university, I do this to students all the time. They run away. Like, I don't want to be a part of religion. But like, bro, what is a religion, right? You're controlled, right? You're going to a class, you better be there on time, right? That's not control. And that's not control. You have to run away to your class. You have to get there be on time. You have to exactly listen what they say. You better have faith in the teacher. You don't think you're in a religion right now? Or this other student that I met recently, he was in a parking lot and I just called him out and I asked him, what are you doing? What are you doing now with your life? Well, I'm trying to get a job. Have you got one? He's like, no, at this point, I'll take whatever I can get. I was like, you're so miserable. You went through 4 years of like studying this thing that you probably don't even like, and now you're going to be forced into a job under a boss that you're just going to hate. But he's free because he chose what course he wanted to do. So we'll question your life too. Okay, you can question ours and we'll answer all the questions because we know what we're doing and we've examined what we're doing and we've freely actually like gone and thought about this. But we'll do the same to you. Let's see how that works out. And then if we defeat you, you better accept. Are you we say man enough, but do you have the courage to do that? No, everybody's generally just, they don't want to do that. They don't want to face up to that because they know what I'm doing in my life actually makes no damn sense. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going on about life, working and university and this. I don't know. Actually, what am I thinking? Why am I doing this? Because everybody else is doing it, ultimately. So yeah, you want to question us? Sure, we'll answer all your questions, but are you ready to answer our questions? Are you ready to accept what we present to you? So, anything else? You have a question?
This analogy of all paths lead to the same goal that I've heard the common one is that it's a mountain. And so
we're all on different parts of the mountain.
Or no, that the goal is the top of the mountain and you can wind up, circle around it and go up towards the top, or you can just go straight up and go around one side or the other. So what do you say to someone that says that that's the analogy?
You got to be on the right mountain. You better be on the right mountain, first of all. And then there may be, just like if you, Mount Everest. So many ways to climb it. You can climb it whatever way you like. Right? Anybody ever seen Mount Everest? Yes, you've seen it in photos. Have you seen some documentaries on it? How many people die there? But there's only one path, actually, to get to the top of Everest. You can you can try to take other paths, but you better get a Sherpa. Even when you're going on the path, that's like the general path, which hundreds and thousands, not hundreds and thousands, but thousands of people have gone on now. You still have to have a guide. Otherwise, you'll die on the mountain. So many people die on the mountain. You need a guide who's going to help you get up there. And then, so I say, I want to do something different, and I want to climb from the side of the other. So one has to be intelligent. One should not unnecessarily take difficulties. Also, like there's a path that's been set by our acharyas, our teachers who have done it, become realized in it, and they're giving a perfect way of how to achieve that. But then we want our own ideas and go up the side cliff of the mountain. You're not going to make it. So it doesn't make sense.
I mean, the other thing is people can give all kinds of examples. What if we right now we're sitting on a flying carpet?
Yeah.
What if? I mean, we're talking also reality here. Like he's presenting, you're controlled by your your boss, your government, and you're controlled by your senses, you're controlled by your mind. This is reality, it's not what if stuff.
Yeah.
The people give all kinds of analogies that suit their example. What if I'm a butterfly, and whatever, you're a bee, and all kind of nonsense like this. And then the what if, you keep going on with their what if, it's just their mental nonsense, it's like, you stop dreaming, it's like, get to reality here. They don't like it, they don't like hearing these things. Because reality for them, the truth is, it's very painful. But Krishna consciousness has good news if you're just willing to hear. That they can't even wait that long enough. So that's the problem.
Kalki Prabhu had something.
Oh. Huh?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There's a small thing I was going to say just about the whole mountain thing, but I just popped it in my mind. But in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna acknowledges that there's different paths, personal and personal path, but he makes the distinction that one is actually easier, the personal path, and one is very difficult. So even amongst the great authorities, Krishna is the greatest. But they do acknowledge there's different ways, but one, you're just going to suffer a lot and super difficult, but why not take the easy way?
Yeah.
But then kind of like Vishnu saying that people are just attached to ignorance. Doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah. Anything from the Matajis? You have any questions? Please, you can ask all the questions, yes.
Thank you. So even with the spiritual masters and the gurus who practice the Krishna consciousness, for me it's how can we still trust their words when then they can make more mistakes just as much as people in the material world as well?
So why should we trust them?
Not why we should trust them, but they can make mistakes just as us.
Not particularly. They've come to the platform there because you see, you make mistakes because you're taking knowledge from imperfect place. They don't make mistakes because they take knowledge from a perfect place. You're controlled by your ideas, and your knowledge comes from your mind and your own intelligence. But the spiritual masters, they don't do that. They're not speaking their own thing. You see, this very important aspect of Krishna consciousness is that we are not speaking. I am not sitting up here and speaking my own thing. My spiritual master is not speaking his own thing. Srila Prabhupada is not speaking his own thing. What is this being spoken from? This is coming from God. God is perfect. God does not make mistakes. So the spiritual master is as good as God. We sing that every morning, Sakshat Dharitva, and that he's the manifestation of God. He's not God, very clear. But he's as good as God. Why? Because his words are non-different from what God speaks. What Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, what the great sages say in the Bhagavatam. So, because they derive knowledge from a perfect place, their words are perfect by nature. So, but in our cases, yes, if we're making up our own things, because we have experience of other people who are making up their own things, like your teachers in university and scientists and all this, knowledge is always imperfect, they're always making mistakes. But on the path of spiritual life, it's perfect. Knowledge that's derived from the source of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, it's perfect. So it has to come from a perfect person, therefore the spiritual master is completely perfect. Therefore, and we are also perfect if we do the same thing. So it doesn't just, he's perfect, then I can never be perfect. No. The point is that we have that ability also. We have to just understand and then imbibe that philosophy and practice it and then not deviate from it. So the spiritual master is perfect because he gets his knowledge from a perfect source. You see? So then you have to be intelligent to examine that also. Question, there's inquiry, proper inquiry. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, is there any... Anything else?
even though we're trying to kind of like, we're detaching from our senses, like,
Really?
I don't know. Like, for example, like the enjoyment, like when we enjoy food, you know, like when we find pleasure from eating our food and it genuinely makes us happy. Is that like a sense that we also kind of have to remove ourselves from because it might put us on a...
You don't see the feast that we make?
Yeah, I do.
No. So we don't, with the Krishna, the process of Krishna consciousness is not detachment. It's not just detachment. It's actually detachment from the material desires and material senses. But there's attachment that simultaneously there's an attachment going towards Krishna. So we're attached to that food which is offered to Krishna. So yes, we can take very nice food. Why? Because we're offering it. Well, we're actually giving it to Krishna. It's not for us. It's for Krishna, and as a result, we're able to take that. So no, we can have the most opulent food, that which Krishna likes, though, not whatever. So yes, no, it's not just there. We're detaching from the material and attaching ourselves to the spiritual world. That's why we're able to detach. That's why you'll see a bunch of young men in front of me and young women who have left all these things in this world which people call happiness, and able to do this. Why? Because we're becoming attached to something much, much higher. Right? We're not detaching. We're not just detaching. We're actually running towards Krishna. It's not that we're fried out with the material world, so we're tired of this place. No. We're actually seeing that Krishna consciousness is so much greater. So let me go towards this. This crazy civilization makes no damn sense. It's all these, the devotees of Krishna. They're the most intelligent people in the universe, because they understand what the goal of life is. We're not just some dropouts that life was depressing, so what else to do? But there's a place where we can go and eat free and dance and be happy, and they'll give us a house to live in, and therefore we'll go do that. No. Most of the devotees sitting here, they're in universities. They could have worked jobs that would have paid them plenty of money, but we chose not to do that. We're not running away. We're running towards Krishna. Yes. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, first of all, for the lesson today. I feel like it answered all of our questions.
Good.
But I was wondering, okay, so part of my life journey has been like giving and giving and giving to others, and kind of like equating my worth to what I can provide for others, like anyone outside of myself. Like for example, when my brother was locked up, I was putting money on his books and paying his phone bill, and
damn,
I know, and taking care of him like in that way. And when he got out, I decided, I don't want to, because he kept asking, and I was, giving too much, it felt, from my perspective. And then after I said that, we didn't talk at all. We were talking every day before that, and after that, it was crickets. So to me, that's been a part of my life journey, is just doing that with multiple people. And
all of us
that.
here, yes.
Yeah. So from my understanding, it's like we're only like valuable if we're serving, which that's who I am naturally, but it's like I don't want to feel like that's the only reason why I'm valuable to Krishna, is if I'm doing something like kind of like that.
But that's love. You see, on the material platform, because you have a bad experience, you think that's also like that on the spiritual platform. Because your whole service attitude is completely misdirected. Good intentions, but misdirected. Absolutely wrong. Why is he saying that? Well, because you've seen the result. What's come about. People in this world naturally are selfish on the material platform. They're looking to exploit you wherever you go, whoever they are. Unfortunately, if they don't have an understanding that they are not the body, they're spirit soul, they're meant to love God, they're meant to love Krishna, that we're all beyond these bodies. If they don't see each other as spirit soul, then immediately selfish desire, immediately, I want to be better than this person. How can I get the most out of this person so I can become greater? How to win friends, how to influence people and win friends. Yeah. How to win friends and influence people. Very famous book. What's the idea? That I'll exploit others and become better than others. And when I get better, then I'll become an influencer in another set of friends and then become better and better and better. So we've all had that same experience, that in the material world, everybody is friends or family according to their common interest. You're only friends with someone else because they have the same common interest as you. In high school, you had so many friends because you're all young and you wanted to get high together or go somewhere together, whatever. But as soon as one person stops, that's like, or you disapprove of something that they're doing, then it's like, let's not be friends anymore. Then your friend becomes an enemy almost. But on the platform of Krishna consciousness, because we're coming to a point of eternal knowledge, our eternal goal, eternal self-interest, then our relationships last forever and they're not on the platform of exploitation. You see, they're not on the platform of exploitation. I don't want your money and I don't have any money to give anyone, but we don't want your money. We don't want anything from you. We want people to become happy in their spiritual life. So service, it's difficult. Why should my relationship with Krishna be based on service? Well, that's what love is. You try to love someone without serving them. Tell your dog, I love him, but don't feed him. Feeding him the dog is service. Giving the water to the plant is service. This is what love is based on, but it's unconditional. It's not like Krishna is, okay, Krishna, thank you. Krishna is going to be like, thank you so much, you gave me, you served me, now here's $1 million. No, that's not how it works. There's more of a deeper spiritual experience there. But that is not exploitive. Krishna not at one point isn't go, okay, and now you stop giving me so much, now that's it. Now I'm going to neglect you. No, Krishna reciprocates at every moment. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita as, what is that? Vadante tang satayva bhajamyaham avartanuvartante manusya. So as they, how does the translation go? I reward them accordingly. As they surrender unto me, I shall reward them accordingly. So on this platform, there is no loss or diminution, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. You see, if you've given your service to so many people in this world, but they've all exploited it. Every single person, without a doubt. But within Krishna consciousness, it is not there. There's real love. There is that real thing that you've been looking for in that service when you served your brother, when you served your mother, when you served your friends, that you wanted back, that you didn't get in Krishna consciousness. That is there. That is actually there because it's not, my relationship with all the people here is not on the basis of our material common interest. Actually, half of the devotees here probably wouldn't be friends with them if I was a materialist. Because we wouldn't work as personalities. But I'm best friends with some of these people, all of these devotees. Why? Because our common interest is Krishna, who is eternal. And they're not looking to take my position, and I'm not looking to take their position. And I can't get anything material out of them, and they can't get anything material out of me. And that's not the goal of the relationship anyways. Any relation that you have, is the goal of it is that I'm going to get something out of this. But we're not looking for that. We're looking to please Krishna out of all our relationships that we have together. So He is the center of our lives, Krishna. And yes, Krishna seems very selfish, that He wants everything, and He wants everything from you. But because actually we belong to Him ultimately. Everything belongs to Him anyways. What do we own? You come into this world with nothing, you go with nothing. But that will happen, but if we make a proper spiritual endeavor, then we'll come into the world with not much devotion or anything, but we'll leave with everything that we ever desired, which is actually to love Krishna. You will not be disappointed. You give your service to Krishna, you give your love to Krishna, you'll not be disappointed. Why can I say that? Because there's so many people sitting around you who have done it, and myself, we've experienced that. And all these devotees in front gave up so many things. Gave up university, gave up we used to talk to our families, not like, we don't talk to our families anymore. But we gave up that association, we gave up sex desire, we gave up all these relationships, material relationships. Why? Because we're seeing practically a higher experience in that loving relationship, service-based relationship with Krishna. Every loving relationship is service-based. You cannot have a relationship without service. But on the spiritual platform, it is not dependent on whether it's like, if you became handicapped tomorrow, how many of your friends would still hang out with you? 0. Because you can't go anywhere, you can't go to the parties, you can't go to the clubs, and then they have to push you around, and it's like a whole thing. It's on the material platform, but on devotional service, it's not like that, whatever situation you're in. Whether you're poor, whether you're rich, whether you're handicapped, whether you're completely good, whether you're beautiful, whether you're ugly, whatever it is, it's completely independent of all these things. Therefore, it is on the spiritual platform, with the understanding that I don't have anything to get out of your material position. So give your service to Krishna, you'll be very happy. You'll be very, very happy. That service attitude, your service attitude will increase more. You'll want to serve more. It's like after serving your brother for so long, you don't want to serve anymore. But by serving Krishna, that service attitude and that desire to serve increases more and more and more and more and more. And that's how we know we're making spiritual advancement. And that's how we know Krishna is pleased. Because you feel so happy that you selflessly start serving Krishna. Okay, I don't want money, I don't want women, as we read every morning, that I don't want wealth and I don't want adoration, name, fame. Forget all these things. Let me be your servant, O Krishna. Whatever you do to me, whether you trample me, whether you embrace me, I do not care. I just want to serve you. Because one realizes, this is the goal of life. This is the real position. This is my original nature. So you're lucky. As Prabhupada says here, some people don't get this association by even searching out for thousands of years. Millions, billions. Only a few. Only a very, very few, as you see, sitting around us, who are thoroughly honest. Who are thoroughly honest about themselves, about life, and who are willing to take a little bit of leap of faith. Everything you do requires a level of faith. But Krishna consciousness will give you a proper science, will give you proper understanding, will give you that thing that you're looking for everywhere else. So do it properly. Chant 16 rounds. Follow the principles. Read the books. You will become happy. It's a guarantee. And Prabhupada is guaranteed it. The books, we've seen it over and over and over again. So, like that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, do one more.
This is my last one. So do you think that people of a material mindset, do they have a knowledge to offer?
Do they have knowledge to offer? It's not that everything they say is like, we're like, just like we even take knowledge, like, I'm using this computer, I had to get that knowledge from someone, how to use this computer, and they may be valid, but we don't take their understanding and complete way of life. When one comes to a level of spiritual understanding, he may take some things, but he understands how to utilize those things. So, but in general, life, understanding of life and the goal of life, no, we do not take from the materialist, because they don't understand.
You take from the materialists what they know. It means that if they're expert in doing something, that's okay. We don't take philosophy to them.
Yeah.
It's simple, because their philosophy is full of flaws. But if somebody knows how to, like he's saying, use a particular tool, then I'll learn from them how to do that particular thing so that I can engage it in Krishna's service.
What about things like chakras and things like that? Like I know, because I'm not sure because some people do have knowledge of things like that.
Chakras.
Yeah, chakras. Okay. I'm not sure if you've done like, any of the work with
Yeah.
chakras or anything like that. But
Here's something about the chakras. Everybody talk in Atlanta. Everybody likes to talk about the damn chakras. But here's the thing about the chakras that you might not know. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about this. And you know what Krishna says? You have to perform a particular type of Ashtanga yoga, control the life airs, sit down in some forest with the deer skin, and the air has to be clean, and then you have to focus your eyes on the tip of the nose, and then control the life airs and slowly lift the life airs to your head.
so that's the only way?
Yeah, so the thing is, you have to understand where this comes from, and then you can't just be like, okay, there's the chakras, now I can think about chakras however I like. If there's a source of the knowledge, you have to take the authority of knowledge, how to perform that yoga, right? So you go, this book is describing the process of yoga. Now I take it and go, okay, now you can sit there and you can just close your eyes and just think about nothing and then just think about raising your chakras. But that's not what the book says. The philosophy is completely different to what they speak about, all this nonsense about chakras. And we meet a lot of young black women in Atlanta who love the chakras. But it's completely bogus. Because if you want to practice this Sat Chakra Yoga, it's so difficult. It's impossible. You have to be a yogi. You have to be celibate. That's the first qualification. And Atlanta definitely ain't got that qualification. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that right now. That's the first qualification. Not only that, it takes very, very long. Not within this lifespan of 100 years.
But do you think that some philosophies may be outdated and people have found different ways to make things easier?
It's not outdated. It's there in the Vedas. It's right there in Bhagavad Gita. Why is it outdated?
People, if you have your teacher teaches you how to do something, and then it's you bring it to your own understanding, so it's you get the same.
But if it's perfect, why do you need to change it?
Because you just said it takes so long and.
No, that's why I'm saying. That's what the Vedas say. Well, don't do this in this Kali Yuga. There's another process. The Vedas say that. The book says that. It says, well, Krishna says. Actually, Arjuna rejects it straight up. Arjuna said, who is associated with Krishna, is right there in front of him. Krishna's telling him, you can go to the forest and do this, O Arjuna. And Arjuna said, that's not possible for me. And you got to realize also, you got to be born in the Vedic system in order to practice some of these things. It's not something we can just take and do it. So a lot of the things that you think we're qualified for is absolute no qualification.
But if you get the same answer, if you get the same,
You don't. It's the same idea that all paths lead to the same goal. You have to follow what the authority says, because they've established the knowledge and they've established the practice, and then you get the result.
So you think there's only one way of doing it?
The way that the teacher is taught, the way that so if somebody establishes this process and he gives you the knowledge by which to attain that, then you should follow that.
You find a way to do it and get the same answer every time. Why would that not also work?
What is the answer? What is the answer?
Clearing your chakras or aligning your chakras and things like that.
What does that mean? People don't even.
You can physically feel the difference, where for yourself,
But then people go on drinking and smoking and at the same time doing this.
You don't have to.
You don't have to, but it goes on.
But you can.
But it goes on.
That is a possibility. Yeah.
Also, the thing is, there's just if you go into physics, you perform experiments. There's a theory that is described. So there's a theory, this is the symptoms that one should come to, and symptoms and the perfection of it. And so when one performs the process that whatever that philosopher or that physicist has set, one gets the answer. Now you can try to do your own process. You may get some things that look similar, but you will not get the exact thing. You will not get the exact thing. In physics, when we measure, you have to be within a certain level of error to even be considered for that process to be okay. So you have to undergo a great level of study, first of all, into what is the symptom of perfection. That is not seen, first of all. We just, I feel this, but that's not what's described, what the perfection stage is. It is seen practically. It is described in the Bhagavad Gita what a sage who's fixed on the platform of spiritual existence looks like. So there's a process, and we follow that process. Sure, we can try to make up our own process, but what a waste of time. So if there's
It's the opposite of a waste of time.
no, but it's
Like you can like get there. I don't know, but you're saying like
no. So
The point is that it depends on what one's goal is. If your goal is to feel peaceful for 5 minutes, then there's a lot of things you can do. But if your goal is to end the cycle of birth and death, you understand that there is rebirth, you understand that there's karma, you understand that there is that there are bigger factors that we have to get free of. Alignment of chakras are not going to help you. That is the point. If the goal is to just say, I want to give up smoking. Somebody does something, there's so many things. You could go to a rehabilitation center and they'll help you, get free of drugs and something like that. But that doesn't make it a perfect process, because your goal, what we're talking about over here, is one process that gives a solution and an end to all problems. Not just one particular problem, not just depression, not just smoking, not just feeling peaceful for 5 minutes, but something that's all inclusive. That is Krishna consciousness.
could you relate that to chakras though?
Sorry?
Could you relate it to chakras?
Tell me how chakras is all inclusive. Because somebody who does chakras should be able to explain the philosophy of this universe, explain the purpose of life, explain why, for instance, why did God create some people poor and some people rich? Why is there suffering in this world? What is reincarnation? Who we are? These things a person whose chakras are aligned should be able to explain. We don't find that.
I don't think that the purpose of aligning your chakras is like what you just described,
Well,
but
that's the point. That I'm also agreeing with you. The purpose of aligning the chakras is not that. My point is that should be our goal. Because otherwise, what is the purpose of life?
for me personally, when I have aligned my chakras and I found that it works for me, I feel energy, I feel it very sensitively, like in my body. Like I'll feel pain in my heart. I'll feel when my crown is blocked and things like that. I won't feel connected to myself and I won't feel connected to God and things like that. So it's like, for me, it works. So it's like, that's just my experience with it. I'm not sure if you've done it or experienced it for yourself, but that's just how it worked for me.
I mean, I don't deny your experience.
Have you done it before?
I don't deny, I agree, I accept your experience.
Have you done it
But
before?
My point is,
Have you tried it before?
I don't have, no.
Okay, so it's like, how can you really give knowledge on it if you've never experienced it?
Because the knowledge is found in Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, but I'm saying like for yourself, how do you know for yourself if it's something that works, if you've never tried it?
Because do you know what chakras actually are?
Yes.
What are they?
They're energy sensors in your body. Did you want to
No,
elaborate
that's
more
not
on it?
what they are.
Can you specify what they are then?
Chakras are states of consciousness.
Exactly.
Chakras are levels
It's a
of
whole
consciousness.
different
This is
understanding, but
explained-
yeah.
No. This is explained in Shastra. There are levels of consciousness. And the spiritual consciousness is the Shirodhara chakra, which is the top chakra that's found on one's head, the crown chakra as we call it. The point is, when one is on that platform, there are certain characteristics that a person should have. For instance, they're free from material desires. They don't feel hankering anymore. They have perfect knowledge. They definitely have celibacy as one of their characteristics.
Stop nodding.
And-
It's true.
Sorry?
Oh, she said
Nothing,
something to me.
go ahead.
Sorry.
So, but more than anything else, they're self-realized. What is the position of someone who's self-realized? Person who's self-realized knows who he is, who God is, what is the relationship between him and God, And what is the relationship between everything in this universe and God? One who has not realized that, and one who has realized that is already on that chakra platform. He doesn't have to go through these different stages. He's already there. This is what Bhagavad Gita says.
I think this kind of ties into the mountain analogy when we were like, all paths lead to one understanding. But like, once we have the tools and the resources to reach that understanding, doesn't that kind of, you know, I know you give the analogy about the window, but like, what if you were offered the resources?
What if?
You know?
What
like,
if?
You need, it's hard, but you still need those resources, you know,
The
to
point
achieve.
is,
Some are easier than others.
You're thinking that the Shastra is not giving us the quickest process.
No, I'm not. I was just...
No, that's the thing. It's like you think, oh, what if we develop our own tools and processes? Why? So we can make it quicker. Well, that's the Shastra. It gives the benefit, the highest benefit to the living entity. So we want to make our own process. Definitely it's going to be either completely flawed or it's going to take 1,000,000 more years. Because you got to understand the point that I was making before when she asked, why do we believe the spiritual master? Well, why is he perfect? Because he gets knowledge from a perfect source. But where are you getting your knowledge? From your own mind, and the other person is getting knowledge from their own mind, and your mind has already put you in trouble so many times. It's been wrong so many times. So now you want to approach the perfection of life with that same mind that's brought you into this material world.
Mm-hmm. My imperfect mind also brought me here. So it's like, my imperfect mind also brought me here.
Exactly, so you should not trust your imperfect mind. You should not trust your imperfect mind.
It brought me here. Of course I should trust it. To the temple.
Just wait.
I mean to this temple.
Sure. That is our great fortune. That is our great fortune. But when we can find a place which is perfect, then we should not continue to trust the imperfect mind. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, that the mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. The mind can be a great enemy or a great friend as well, if one can control it. It becomes a great friend. So we're not saying, we're saying if the Shastra is already giving us the process by which to attain perfection, and is not trying to cheat us, saying, oh, well, maybe you can find a faster process. No, that's the point of Shastra, is that it is giving us the fastest way by which we can attain perfection. Therefore, in this age, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is the verdict of the Shastra, that this is the fastest way to attain perfection. So, but why do we not take that? It's very blissful, dancing, chanting, and feasting.
Why can't you do both?
Because the process that is described has a specific way of doing it, which is not practical for this age. The process, it describes a time, place, and circumstances which in you should practice that. But we don't have those time, place, and circumstance to practice that yoga. Therefore, in this Kali Yuga, this particular process is suggested. So we have to follow the process of devotional service. We can't just invent our things. We tend to cheat ourselves or cheat others by inventing something very cheap. Because it may be easier. Yes, the process of devotional service, it is blissful. Chanting is just, oh, you guys are just chanting. You're not sitting there and closing your mind. No, but this is the process.
Everything technically is invented. Like the desk you're using, it's useful to you as a desk. Okay, except for, as you say, like the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita and things like that. But there are a lot of useful things that were invented.
Sure, but we're talking about a spiritual process here, coming from a perfect person. We want the perfect process. Why give yourself room to cheat yourself or cheat others? Why give ourselves so much benefit? Oh yes, I can do it. We've cheated ourselves so many times, and other people we see, they've cheated themselves so many times. So we accept not perfect knowledge from perfect person. Therefore, in that way, we have not a doubt in our mind that we're cheating ourselves. Because, we're by nature, living entity, conditioned, we're naturally selfish. We just want those things which are, attracted to me. But when truth is there, generally requires a little more work. So this is the process that is being presented by the Shastra. That same Shastra that presents Satchakriya again rejects it in this age. It says, don't do this in this age. There's no use of it. There's no use of it in terms of attaining perfection. Therefore it says, do this, chant Hare Krishna. That same place where you find Sat Chakra Yoga says you can attain all of that and much more just by chanting this mantra, by following these principles, by engaging in practical devotion service 24 hours a day. It's not 10 minutes, not 15 minutes. Oh yeah. Here we go.
So from my understanding, chakras are just not accepted because it's created by a person. It's not.
No, that's not true.
Because it's imperfect.
In Krishna consciousness, you have the benefit of doing chakras and a lot more. That's the point. You're not missing out on something. Krishna consciousness is all inclusive.
Hare Krishna.
Just 1 second, yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
One point I was thinking about, and one point I was thinking about was, yes, we experienced the cleansing process of the chakras of one. So how do you know it doesn't work? So now a counter question can be: do you know that you should not eat glass? Do you know you should not eat glass?
He said, do you know that you should not eat glass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. But did you ever eat glass? How do you know it's bad for you?
Yeah, if you never ate glass, why should you know? Why? How do you know that you shouldn't eat glass?
Well, the answer is you have intelligence.
Yes, you have the intelligence.
So similarly, also, and a really fun fact, isn't Joy asking the question? Mother Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very intelligent. One thing is, in the Shastra it says if you really want to even activate all your chakras, one way to do it is to dance in kirtan. If you dance in kirtan, you will actually feel it. No, it's a real thing. You can actually feel all your, everything getting cleared up and everything like that.
Yeah.
And Krishna consciousness is not like some dogmatic process or something like that. It's actually something that you could try and see. It's not that we're saying this is the only way, the truth and the light or something like that. But the point is that other processes take longer time. But if you take the Krishna consciousness, you will be able to attain all the perfection of the chakras, cleanse your chakras and everything, and much more than that in a shorter period of time. You just dance in kirtan, and then automatically your chakras and everything will be opened up and cleared up, and whatever else, it will be cleansed and all that. So that's the point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I should end. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, we gotta go. Where's Krishna Keshav? Vishnu Chitta Prabhu, you know what?